Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday, July the 12th. Regretfully, we've had 22 additional deaths since my last briefing. That puts us at a total of 7,091 total deaths. I'll ask again for your prayers for each and every one of these great West Virginians that we've lost. And please, if you know them, please call them. If you don't, please offer up your prayers. I'm sure some way, somehow, they'll know you're doing exactly that. The 7,070th death is a 96-year-old female from Wayne County. The 7,071st death is a 91-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 7,072nd death is a 91-year-old female from Mason County. The 7,073rd death is a 94-year-old female from Roane County. The 7,074th death is a 91-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 7,075th death is a 95-year-old male from Cabell County. The 7,076th death is a 71-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 7,077th death is an 87-year-old male from Wyoming County. The 7,078th death is a 75-year-old male from Hancock County. The 7,079th death is a 56-year-old male from Wood County. The 7,080th death is an 81-year-old female from Roane County. The 7,081st death is an 85-year-old female from Harrison County. The 7,082nd death is an 88-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 7,083rd death is an 87-year-old female from Cabell County. The 7,084th death is a 79-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 7,085th death is a 92-year-old female from Fayette County. The 7,086th death is an 83-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 7,087th death is a 44-year-old female from Jefferson County. The 7,088th death is a 78-year-old male from Lewis County. The 7,089th death is an 80-year-old male from Wayne County. The 7,090th death is a 79-year-old female from Wyoming County. The 7,091st death in West Virginia is a 78-year-old female from Upshur County. We did have a little bit of a lag in the reporting, from the standpoint of over the 4th of July, and that could have absolutely, skewed this a little bit that way and everything. But nevertheless, great people we've lost. Please keep them in your prayers. Active cases in West Virginia are almost 3,000 now, 2,817. We have 716 new positive cases since the last update, and we're not testing much that we're getting the records on. So our daily positivity rate is at 38.12. Cumulative positive rate is at 8.21. Recovered cases a little more than 530,000. We now have over 306 people hospitalized in West Virginia, 48 in the ICU units and 8 are on ventilators. You can see we have a few counties in green, most of our counties are in yellow, and one county in McDowell County in gold. From the standpoint, I remind you over and over about your booster shots, please. Please take heed. This stuff is not gone. It's not gone. Wherever you go, you see situations, if you travel enough, you see situations at a business where, for all practical purposes, half the people are gone out with COVID. Whether it be a hospital or a clinic or whatever it may be, there are problems all across this state. This situation is not going away. We can live with it. We absolutely can live with it. If we'll use our heads, get our booster shots, get our vaccinations, we can live with this thing. But to just say it's going to go away, I don't buy it. Again, I don't think there's any point in going through numbers in regard to, where we stand on getting people vaccinated. We do, we have continued to just creep up. We're at 91.4%. I don't think this has changed since the last time, but 91.4% of the people that are 65 and above that have had at least one shot, and 84% of the people 50 and above that have had at least one shot. That's probably pretty good, but we still have got more to do, especially with our younger folks. The vaccine calculator, which Dr. Marsh, WVU, Dr. Hoyer, General Hoyer, a lot of people really put in a lot of good licks and everything to bring it to a reality, and everything is there. If you'll go in on our website, we can get you access to that calculator, and that will give you a reminder as to when to get your next booster shot. All the information on our COVID-19 vaccine info line is up. We have 79 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities, none in our church community. We have 83 inmates and 48 staff cases in corrections. I've reminded you 1,000 times, if you're a renter or you're a landlord, we still have dollars in the program. If you'll try to call us, we'll try to qualify you. If we can qualify you, it will mean significant money to you, and we can maybe help a lot of folks that have just fallen through the cracks. Same way with our homeowners assistance program. If you'll call us, we'll try to get you qualified. I remind you about giving blood all the time. It's really important, really, really important. Check with your physician, especially if you've had the blessing to recover from this dreaded pandemic and everything. You ought to consider it. From the standpoint of the funding, it's been approved for the PEBT, which is the West Virginia Summer Pandemic Electronic Benefit Transfer Program and everything, and it's for kids that are having a tough go of it and everything. It is a benefit that is a total value of $391 per eligible child, and the funding's been approved. Like I said, the money's been deposited, and that ought to be showing up real soon. It just eligible kids that are those enrolled during the school year 2021 and 2022. In a school that participates in the National School Lunch Program as of May 31st, 2022, and qualify for free or reduced price meals. We've had a fellow that has served the state of West Virginia for a long, long time in many different capacities, and a very, very dear friend of mine. His name's Tom Campbell. And Tom's been around a long time. He's served, on so many different boards and so many different capacities in government. I can't thank him enough, but yesterday I received a letter of his resignation that he is resigning from the West Virginia Board of Education. His resignation is effective today. Tom served on the board for the last 10 years with terms as both president and vice president. Again, we all thank Tom for his dedicated service and his absolute commitment to education. Tom is a real believer in public education, and his contribution will be difficult to measure for years, if not decades and decades to come. But really and truly, we thank him. He's a good, good man. I look forward naturally to appointing somebody new to that position, but Tom will really be missed. He's a real star. So thank you so much. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, Governor. Let's now go to Dr. Clay Marsh, our coronavirus czar.
Well, good morning. As the governor has pointed out, we are starting very likely to see the front impact of the BA.5 variant that has become the dominant variant in the United States and also a dominant variant around the world. That is responsible for increasing the number of cases and the number of hospitalizations in many different places. And we believe that's at least part of the cause of some of the hospital numbers that we see going up in West Virginia. And what's really important, and this is what the governor also said, is that the best strategy to protect each person in West Virginia is absolutely staying up to date with the vaccines that you are eligible to take. And this is particularly important for West Virginians over 50 years old, because we know that this variant is very highly contagious and has a couple of properties that make it more difficult than past variants that we've faced. One is it binds to our body's cells much more avidly. It binds like the Delta variant did. So it's able to latch on to our body's cells much better than the other Omicron variants have. And it also has a very, very substantial ability to evade our immune systems. Now, we know that many people that have gotten previously infected with COVID, or even who've been vaccinated a long time ago, may be getting infected or reinfected with this particular variant. But it's really important that people who watch this conference or who listen on different media channels recognize that the vaccines are still really good at protecting people from getting severely ill and dying. And that's the reason why we are so consistently asking people to stay up to date with your vaccines. Use the vaccine calculator and do that, because we know being fully up to date for your vaccine reduces your risk of dying by 42 times versus people that have not been vaccinated at all. And if you're over 50 and you've gotten your fourth shot, your second booster dose, versus people who are over 50 that have only had their third shot, their first booster dose, there is a 4 times reduced risk of dying from COVID-19 by getting that fourth shot. So these shots are really effective. And some people are confused because you read on and you see on the TV or you read on the media channels that there's new vaccines that are being developed by vaccine manufacturers. And the truth is those vaccines may be better over time, but they're not going to be available till at least the fall. So for anybody who's eligible today, please go ahead and get your next vaccine dose, because we know that those vaccine doses are really important in protecting people. And as the governor pointed out, the really high positivity rate that we're seeing in West Virginia, Walgreens nationally reported yesterday a 42% positivity rate on the tests that they administered. So this is really the impact of BA.5, and that's the reason why it's so important for people to go ahead and get vaccinated if you're eligible as soon as you can, because they're protective, and that includes our younger children. It would be a really good time to make sure that our children under 5 be evaluated by their pediatricians, because we believe vaccination will be important in that population too. Last thing is that the White House now is very heavily pushing the idea for all adults over 18 to be potentially eligible for a 4th vaccination. But the truth is, around our country, only about 50% of eligible people have gotten their 3rd dose, their first booster, and only about 27 to 29% of people have gotten their 2nd booster, their 4th dose. So we need to do better than that. And although West Virginia is above the national average, we still are not where we would like to be, because being up to date with your vaccines is the best protection we have for saving lives, reducing hospital numbers, and helping maintain the well-being of our state citizens, which are our priority missions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Marsh. Next to retired Major General Jim Hoyer, the director of our Joint Interagency Task Force.
Good morning. Again, to reinforce numbers that the governor gave us on hospitals, 312 now. And remember that back during earlier surges, we had the ability to manage about 800 patients statewide. But because of staffing challenges, as well as surges that occurred during these months, that number for COVID is now 500. So we'll continue to monitor that. the governor's tasked us as a result of that to be even more proactive. So we have a couple of things going on. The team that works the sequencing runs for our variants will be doing an updated sequencing run here later this week. In addition to that, we're increasing the frequency of our coordination calls with our hospitals, long-term care organizations, as well as our community health clinics. And then the governor's also tasked us to run in the next 2 weeks to run another tabletop exercise, again, just so we're prepared for contingencies that may occur. As Dr. Marsh said, we're seeing an increase related to one variant, and we have another more contagious variant coming up behind us. We'll also look at where there might be opportunities to do some community wastewater treatment assessments as well. So we'll be looking, and again, the governor's tasked us to be proactive with that and to continue to press the vaccine. So last thing, I'd like to reinforce what both the governor and Dr. Marsh have stated. If you've had a second shot, get a third shot. If you've had a third shot, get the fourth shot. We know that the numbers show that it is important, and we know that this is not about preventing you now from getting this. This is about protecting you from serious illness and death. So it's not about the transmission issue. It's about preventing serious illness and death. We have doses available, so we'll continue to work with individuals across the state, but please take advantage of what is out there now and what is available to you. And when a new version of the vaccine comes in the fall, we'll be prepared because the governor's tasked us to be prepared to address that going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Anamjad and Secretary Crouch are also joining us today and are available for questions. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. My question's for General Hoyer. I know you said you guys are going to be doing some more tabletop exercises or keeping a tab on the numbers, but do you have an estimate at this point when you think we'll hit the 500 number? You know, we're trending in that direction. Thank you.
General.
Yes, sir, Governor. So, Charles, right now, the good news is that the trend line is moving at a much lower rate than what we saw during Delta and original Omicron surges in the past. We'll be updating some information, and I'll try to get you some more sense of what this projection will look like. The other thing that we are working with the hospitals on, as well as long-term care facilities, is looking at staffing issues related to those going out from staff with the COVID, because that will impact the changes in our numbers overall. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. Next to Stephen Adams with Ogden Newspapers.
Yeah, Steve Adams with Ogden Newspapers here. Just under 2 weeks until we have the legislative interims, when I think you had planned to call a special session in regards to the tax plan that you had pitched last week. Just wanted to check in and see if you've had any conversation with any lawmakers, legislative leadership. I'm getting the sense that the House of Delegates, Republicans on the House of Delegates, are supportive of your plan because, again, it's very reminiscent of a plan that they had supported during the session. So they seem supportive. Senate Republicans, though, weren't supportive of that plan and it doesn't sound like they might be supportive of this plan. I just want to see if you had any conversations with anybody since last week, and if you're getting any type of traction with your plan. Thank you.
Well, Stephen, we've had a lot of conversation with a lot of different folks. You know, the days are kind of running together now, but I guess it was probably Saturday. You know, I had an hour-and-a-half meeting with the Speaker of the House, and a very productive meeting. You know, it was really good. I really appreciate being able to spend the time with Speaker Hanshaw, And, but we've had several conversations back and forth with, different people from the Senate side and the House side. The bottom line, the whole thing, Stephen, is just one thing and one thing alone, and that is, my philosophy is just really, really simple. I do believe without any question that the lowering and hopeful of someday the elimination of the personal income tax will be unquestionably the greatest thing we could possibly do to drive people to come to West Virginia and give us more and more and more opportunities. Now, all these, from the standpoint of other things, we want to stay open-minded and everything else. The things that I'm always gun shy of are just this. We've kept, for all practical purposes, a flat budget. And we've done so, and we've built incredible surpluses, and we've been able to do all kinds of phenomenal stuff, i.e. Nucor, or all the different things that we're doing as far as tourism, and all the things that are happening all across our state, that is causing our state to grow and will be able to grow for decades and decades to come. We've done so without putting ourselves at risk, and we've done so with minding the store in a prudent way. When you lower in, when you absolutely just put into our budget a base build of hundreds, if not 500 or $600 million, and you take an income stream away from the counties where the counties are betting on to come on something, no matter what it may be, it may be the right thing to do, but I think it causes a lot of, we should always pause and think. From the standpoint, really and truly, Stephen, if you step back and you look at where I'm at, I really believe the elimination of the income tax has the most sex appeal of anything, period. Look at all the states that don't have an income tax. Look at their growth. Look at what's happening in those states. And they got to drive through us to get to those states, most of them. Now, with all that being said, most sex appeal, hands down. That's all there is to it. Second thing is this. How's the fastest way to get money in our people's hands that are hurting right now, right today? And my plan will get money right in people's hands right now. It's very, very similar, to Chairman Householder's bill and everything. From the standpoint of the philosophy it's different from the standpoint that what we were trying to do at that time before, we could not qualify from the standpoint of the ARPA regulations at all. And so from that standpoint, 6 months ago, we didn't have all the intel that we've got from the last 6 months and all the good stuff that's happened during the last 6 months. It's different from that standpoint and everything, but irregardless, Chairman Householder and I think dead the same. And that is the attraction of the elimination or the reduction of the personal income tax in West Virginia would be a tremendous, tremendous thing for the state of West Virginia. The other thing that I'm always concerned about is this. Let's basically bait the voters to vote for something or to do something in order that has political ramifications or political desires behind all that. I'm not in this for anything whatsoever politically for me. I don't understand that. I don't begrudge it, but at the same time, I think as long as we put self or selves above our state, we're not doing exactly the right thing. And so there's so many, I am very, very confident that I'll continue to work side by side with all the people, all the senators, all the House members, without any question, Stephen, here's exactly how I feel. And this is all there is to it. You know, I've punched a lot of buttons since I walked in this door, and I'm very confident that I've been able to punch those right buttons because of God above, first and foremost, but secondly, with all the great work that all the West Virginians have done. How they've stood arm in arm, and we've gotten through a lot of stuff. And this state is really cooking right now. And at the end of the day, if the decision is the Senate or the House, they don't want to do this, you know, all I can say is just this. I would say, missed a great opportunity. You know, I'm not going to worry about it. I can absolutely tell you, you can only take the horse to the water. You can't make them drink. And really and truly, their answer then is going to be to the public, not to me. I'm not going to be concerned. I'm going to hate it for our people. This is what we should do. We should move on this very quickly. We're finalizing how the tiering to do this. That'll be done in the next day or so here. It'll go up to the House and everything and the Senate, and we'll see, we'll see what the outcome is when we have a special session. But we're trying to make it as fair and equitable. We've got a lot of people that are, struggling and having a tough go of it that really need our help especially. But at the same time, we want to remember, we want to drive people that bring job opportunity to our state. So we just don't want to flood the lower side and forget the top side, because the top side are our job creators, and we want them to bring their stuff and come to West Virginia. So a little complicated, but this one's not one I'm going to worry about.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Next to Mark Curtis with Nexstar Media.
Good morning, Governor and cabinet members and fellow reporters. Governor, as long as you're talking about a special session, I was wondering if you've made any final decision about whether to include getting the abortion law tweaked now that that's happened in the same special session as the income tax. I know that's a lot, but the reason I'm asking is the ACLU has filed a suit to enjoin the state from enforcing the abortion law. Patrick Morrissey, our Attorney General, has filed a counter suit or claim against the ACLU. And so is it better to let this all play out in the courts before the legislature acts? And if so, are you going to wait? And also, a lot of Democrats are calling, if the law is going to get tweaked, they want to see exemptions for cases of rape and incest, that those would not be covered by the law. Your thoughts?
Okay, my thoughts, Mark, are real easy. First of all, I think we've got a great Attorney General, and I think that he is giving us advice, and I think we need to heed to his advice in many ways. From the standpoint of, without any question, we've got a great House, we've got a great Senate, and from the standpoint though of giving them the time when they're ready, that was one of the things we discussed even on Saturday. Giving them the time for them to be ready, and without any question, I want to do exactly that. I don't want to, I surely don't want. Mark, you can't, you've got in life to be trustworthy, you've got to try, I've said many times, I make tons of mistakes, but I'm not going to tell you anything that's not the truth. I tell you that all the time. With all of that, the very best thing that I can possibly do is never play games with somebody. Never push people into a special session just to make a spectacle for nothing. Do the right stuff all the time. And at the end of the day, if you do the right stuff all the time, I truly believe God above will, and I do all kinds of bad stuff and mess up everything from time to time. But literally, I try with all in me to do the right stuff. In this situation, the right stuff is to give our legislature time. It's a sensitive topic. It's something that's been in the makings for 50 years. And it is absolutely so difficult because there's so many different sides to so many different aspects. If we don't watch out, it'll become a spectacle. We don't want that, do we? And so with all that being said, I wanted to tell everybody I'm willing to go to a special session immediately. I am absolutely willing to try to support, our Attorney General's views, and I understand his complexities and what he's trying to deal with, and I'm trying to be very respectful to any and everything that he's doing because I think he's doing great. With all that being said, though, we have to give our lawmakers time to be ready. I absolutely do not think that we'll be ready to where we can bring this issue together with the tax issue. We need to get that money in our taxpayers' hands, and back to our good people of West Virginia. But with all that, I really think the House and the Senate will be ready much sooner than later, and I don't think that that'll be long. But we want to give them time. We want to give them time to where they'll be ready. And that's the respectful and right thing to do, and that's what we're going to try to do.
All right, thank you, Mark. Next is Stephanie Grinley with WTRF.
Hello, thank you so much for taking my question. I am doing a story on a coal mine that just crossed underneath the interstate in Ohio County. The bridges in that section came down because of subsidence, and they are currently being replaced right now. But I leave a question to you, the governor. People are dying in that construction zone, and I'm trying to understand your stance on the coal mining underneath I-70, and would you ever consider taking action to stop the mine?
Stephanie, the last part of your question, what did you say on the last part, please?
What is your stance on the coal mining underneath I-70, and would you ever consider taking action to stop the mine?
From a standpoint, first of all, Stephanie, I have no idea if I have the power to just, say I'm stopping the mine, but I can tell you this, that we've all been aware of this a long time, and there's been a lot of people putting in a lot of licks on this for a long time. You've got the Department of Transportation, you've got the DEP, you got all kinds of different, governmental agencies that have weighed in on this and worked on this in many different ways. There's probably opportunities long ago when if cooler heads would have prevailed, there was probably a way to just to have worked through this in a simpler fashion. From the standpoint of Stephanie, I can tell you that it's a complicated issue. There's disruption and safety and everything else from the standpoint of the subsidence. There's private entities or public entities that own these coal reserves and everything else and feel that they have the right to be mining. You've got the men and the women that are the miners that have jobs there and what they're doing. There is so many aspects it's off the chart, but we've got really, really good people, really good people at the Department of Transportation, at the DEP, and all these people are working this issue as best they possibly can. We just ask everybody to be as patient as we can be and be super safe. We're going to get through it. We're going to come with the best solution we can come with. But to just say, where does the governor stand? Well, it's a complicated issue with a lot of different agencies and everything. I'm very aware, but I probably don't know the integral, pieces like the agencies that know. But and to say, Governor, are you willing to just stop it? Well, first of all, I don't have any idea if I've got the power to do that, and I would not do that without the recommendation of these agencies if I had the power.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. Governor, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, I want to go back from the standpoint of and just talk just 1 second. General Hoyer just told us that updated my number, I think, a little bit to take it to 312 people that are hospitalized today in West Virginia. He also said that at one time we had the capacity, we thought, to go up above 800 as far as total number of people that were hospitalized. We're at 312 right now. But now, because of all kinds of demands and shortages in staffing and whether nursing or whatever it may be, we really now only think in the state of West Virginia we have the capability of going up somewhere around 500. We're at 312 that are hospitalized right now in West Virginia. At the 500 number, we're going to start running into a lot of difficulties. Could very well be bringing the guard back in, whatever it may be, and we'll figure it out. But the fact is really simple. And I was thinking about this while he was speaking. Just think, 2 years ago, think about all we went through. Think about how afraid that all of us were. We had no vaccine. Just think about where we were. President Trump and his crew were scrambling around every way in the world to try to find some way, somehow, to come up with a vaccine. Of everything in the world, and I'm very close to the Trump family and everything, and have been that way forever, and I'll stand that way. President Trump, just like any of us, makes some mistakes. But I want to tell you this, I was telling a good friend of mine yesterday just this. Because I was dialed into almost every single thing that was going on like this. But can you imagine all of a sudden you're dealt a card that there's a pandemic and it's rolling into our country right now, and you're the President of the United States of America, and your advisors are telling you that millions are going to die, and you've got to do something right now. No playbook, no nothing. Well, I had the same thing as the governor, but our president went to work. I saw all the different buttons that they were pushing and all the different things they were doing. It was amazing. It was totally amazing. For anybody in the world that would have said that President Trump wasn't the commander-in-chief, really didn't know. He did a marvelous job. And in a matter of months, we ended up with vaccines, and vaccines that worked, and vaccines that are safe, and absolutely an accomplishment that is still to this day and will be that way for hundreds and hundreds of years to come, an accomplishment that is unprecedented in every way. It normally would take 3 to 5 years to end up with a vaccine, and in a matter of months, we had that vaccine. Now, prior to having that vaccine, we had a lot of folks really scared. And then we had businesses shut down and schools shut down and everybody wearing masks and everything in the world going on that was really foreign to us, and a lot of doubt as to really and truly, is this the right decision? Now, through all that, I just sat here and was thinking about General Hoyer and all the great help, whether it be Dr. Marsh or Dr. Amjad or General Hoyer or Bill Crouch, all the different people that really stepped up and helped all the people all the great people out of the state of West Virginia that really pulled that rope together. Now, we've come a long ways, and it's been tough stuff. And 7,091 people have died. And do we really want to just chalk them up and say, you really just died in vain? We didn't learn anything from what you've really brought to the table, what you really did. I mean, really and truly, at the end of the day, your life was important in many ways, but your death, we really didn't react to it, and we really didn't do anything that made us better as we went forward. And what I'm referring to is just this. If we absolutely believe for a second this thing's over, you're absolutely believing the wrong stuff. Without any question, those people that we've lost are crying out, in my opinion, to us and saying, be sure that you take every precaution. Be sure that you really, really consider being vaccinated. Be sure. Now, we want to be respectful. Some of those folks we lost and everything didn't believe in the vaccinations. What have I said all along? I absolutely respect them in every way. I respect their freedoms. I respect their choice. It's what's made this nation as good as we've been. And it will continue to make this nation what it'll be forever and ever. So with all that being said, all I would just say is just this. We have come a long ways together. And it's been tough, really tough. We don't need to drop the ball now. We got to stay together and keep working, and absolutely please consider that vaccine. Because absolutely we're going to have to find a way to live with this. Thank you so much.